This is the process for doing the selections for a draw of 16. And this is what most of your Georgia Level 3 tournaments are. But I want to be real clear that this is not for Southern Level 3 tournaments. The Georgia Level 3 tournaments have an entirely different selection process, and if your Georgia Level 3 tournament happens to be a Southern Level 3 tournament, you can disregard this process. But for Georgia Level 3 tournaments, this is the way you can do the process yourself. The features have been there in Tennis Link for a good while, but we have continued to do the list for you, but we'll not be doing them for you in the future. So I started out here with showing you the steps that I have taken in Tennis Link to get the list developed. And hopefully this is a step-by-step that would be helpful to you in using this process yourself. The first thing you're going to do, as it says, and I'm not going to keep this on the screen, but you might want to print it out as you're trying to do the selection process yourself. The first thing we'll need to do is go to your tournament. And so you log into Tennis Link, go to My Tournament, and your tournament will appear. Of course, as the list of tournaments appear for me, it's 1,400 tournaments. But when you click into My Tournaments, it only shows the number of tournaments that you will have sanctioned that year. Sorry, we have a little delay here with Tennis Link. So this is a part you would not have to worry about because only your tournaments would come up anyway. Since 1,400 come up in my list, I need to kind of filter through to get to one to show you an example of what we do. So you click on your tournament, and at the top of the page you see entrant processing. You click on entrant processing. Now, of course, this is a limited draw tournament, so you do have access to entrant processing. Under entrant processing, you will go to auto order players over here on the right. Click on auto order players. You choose the event, and in this case, we're going to do the boys 18. I didn't really look at how many players I have entered, but I'm just going to use 100. It doesn't matter if you put in too many. It does matter if you didn't put in enough. So just put in 100 and you'll be pretty safe. I'm going to leave 2012 as a year. I'm going to select Southern as the standings I want to look at. Southern standings, that is the rule for Georgia in doing their selections, is based on Southern standings. I never change rank list type. I leave that the same. And of course, I said I was doing the boys 18. So then I hit search, and I will try to find the latest list that Southern has developed or has published for the boys 18. Now, in this sample that I'm showing you, I'm going to the January list because this tournament that I'm using as an example is 1st of February, and they went by the January list. So I click on that January list and I say OK. After I've done that, this player order report will appear over here, and we will be able to see the actual standings of the players who are in the tournament, who have entered the 18. So you can see it ranges from number 71 down to 721. And 26 of them entered, but we only want to take 16. Now, another thing that you have to consider is that we will be taking players from the younger age division as well. It is 16, a draw of 16, 2 of which come from the top 20 in the lower age group, but we'll get to that part in just a minute. So I just continue to do this. I would go to the boys 16. Down here I put in boys 16. I hit search and I continue to go to the same list that Southern has published to get what the boys 16s are. I continue through this and do every age group. If you have doubles in the tournament, it's not necessary to do the doubles. You just need to do the singles. But for your singles, you go through and do every age group, and your report will continue to develop from the boys 18s, and then you can see the boys 16s appears here. So just for the sake of showing you today, I've kind of put mine into an Excel file that you can see every age group. It says the boys 18s and what are their standings in the 18s. And you can see it has the entire list of all of the ages appear here. The next step I want to take is we go back to what I mentioned as far as finding those players from the younger age group. After I've done all of the ages here, then I want to go back to the boys 18. I want to say, I want to know, are there any 16-year-olds playing in the 18? And if so, what is their standing? So I go to search again, find the latest standing in the boys 16s, but I want you to tell me if they're in my 18s, what their standing is. Click on the latest one as far as this tournament goes. And this list, just think about it now, this list should be fairly short. There are very few, maybe 16-year-olds playing up in the 18s, but I need to know who they are and if they're in the top 20. So I'll look at it, and it is a very short list that has come out. And this is a key right here. It says the boys 18s, but it's saying these boys are playing in the 18s, and this is their standings in the 18s. Are any of them in the top 20? No. So they wouldn't be considered. But I continue on and doing that. I will then go and do the boys 16s again, leaving in all of the other features, except now I want to know, are there any 14-year-olds playing in the boys 16s? And I hit search. We go through the same steps. Okay. And so you can go up here, but I wait till I finish doing all of them usually before I even go look at this. And you can see these are very short lists. Just if you can keep in mind that when you're looking in the younger age group, they will be short lists. So you can see this one for the boys who are 14 playing up in the 16s. There are 2 of them in the younger age group. So you would need to select them. So just so you can look at this, I would print out both lists. Here's one where I have completed it completely. Here's what I call my short list, because it's the ones from the lower age group. However, you can see in the girls 18s there were a lot of 16-year-olds playing up there, but they weren't in the top 20. But you know, have them all there, and they're what I call my short list because it is coming from the younger age group. Well, because I can't print these out and show you side by side and holding 2 sheets of paper together, that is what I would do if I were doing this myself. I would print them out and look at them, but to help you to see what I was seeing, I have put them into a file here so you can see. I have my boys' 18s and their 18 standings, and then I have any 16-year-olds and what their 16 standings are if they're playing in the 18s. As we looked before, none of them were in the top 20, so I don't need to take them. I go down, and here are having my two sheets side by side. I can see my boys' 16s, and if there were any 14s playing in them, and were they in the top 20. So I have them. I am going to select them, but you know what? They were getting in anyway, right? Here we go down to 16, and those two were in anyway. So I don't have to do a whole lot of adjustment as far as that goes, but I did make sure that they were in. But they actually got in on their 16 standing. I go down to the 14s, and I have two in it that are in the top 20 in the lower age group. But look, Lee, he got in anyway on his 14 standings, but I can't find Sorrel in the top 16. As you can see, I did not see Sorrel up here at all, but he's down here. So I'm going to have to select him, which will knock out McCullough, who was 16. Any questions? Okay, and as we go through, we can see the same things happening. We had one here. Sorry, I didn't highlight that one. But we do have one here that was in the top 20, and they got in anyway in that top 16. We go down to the 8 girls 18s, and as I mentioned before, quite a few of them were playing up, but none of them are in the top 20. Shelby King should be in because they're in the top 20, but if I go down to 16, I don't see Shelby King over here anyway. They're down here, so in this case, I'm going to select Shelby King and not select Boy. So after you have developed your little list like this, then you go, as you have always in the past, you begin to go back to your entrant processing to choose players. So you go back up here to choose players. You've developed your little list, and you do your regular entrant processing. So I know doing this the first time might be new. You're still, I'm still willing for you to call me if you need help with it. But if you kind of go by the directions, I think you'll be all right. But don't hesitate to call if it's your first time doing it. Any questions? Good, Mary. And Rick, did you have anything to add, or Barbara, that you wanted to let them know? No, I mean, this was obviously we could do the same thing with the tournament as well. Right. This tournament didn't happen to have 10 and unders, but again, the 10 and unders, you have no lower age group to look in. You wouldn't be selecting any. It would be, all you would have to do with the 10s is order them according to their 10s, really. Right. So one of the things that you need to be clear on is that this is the level 3 for a Georgia tournament. And an important thing to remember is that you should try to do your selections as soon after your deadline as you can. If for some reason you have taken any phone entry before you've done this selection, you should batch enter them if they're getting into the draw. Because if you have people sitting with a name on a paper, or you're going to take them over the phone, or you do them through TDM, other than the online entries, they will not be in this report at all. So that is something you have to be careful. But if you do take late entries because a draw wasn't full, you should batch enter them before you do the selection.